0. All right, here we go. College Football Payoff Podcast, episode 1, I guess, of the season. Well, after the preview.
Yeah.
So we'll say episode 0.
It's episode 19.
Okay. But for the season.
For the season, I guess.
If you're going to keep,
one.
all right, if you're going to keep the
But
actual
I like
count.
keeping the long count.
Okay, you could keep the long count. I'll keep this count. But
All right.
week 0, not a lot of games to speak of at all, but it is college football back.
Slim pickings this week.
Very, very slim pickings. So we wanted to get an episode out here, at least have 2 games that you guys can look at because it's been a long time coming and we need to gamble. So we got my pick. I'm going with the Nebraska-Illinois game, and then you have UCLA.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Hawaii-UCLA game.
All right. Well, that sounds like a plan to me. Is there anything you wanted to hit before we started?
No, I mean, I'm just looking forward to Ohio State starting the real season next week, and then I'm really looking forward to the Clemson-Georgia game, but we'll hit on that this time next week.
Yeah, sounds good. So, without further ado, we are going to jump right into it. I am going to start because this is the very first game of the college football season, Nebraska versus Illinois, Saturday at 1 p.m. This game was supposed to be played in Ireland, I believe, but COVID brought it back home. So we got Nebraska traveling to Illinois. They are Nebraska's 7-point favorites, over-under set at 55. Like I said, 1 o'clock kickoff Saturday on Fox, and it's finally here. And what better way to bring it in than with Big Ten football? Although it's not, your Big Ten powerhouse, it's still Big Ten football. I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what Scott Frost has to do.
Well,
and this Luke McCaffrey, even though he's not starting, I want to see if they can find a different spot for him on the field instead of quarterback.
They need to find something different because whatever they did last year did not work for this team. You have 2 teams here. One's trending up, the other one's trending the opposite way. And actually the spread goes against that narrative as well because you have Nebraska as the favorite. They're the team who are trending downwards. They have NCAA violations going on. Scott Frost he's been on the hot seat since the end of last year, probably since the middle of last year. And meanwhile, on the other side of the ball, Illinois is trending up because they ended with an upset win over this Nebraska team last season. They were 17-point underdogs in that game. They won it comfortably. And now they have new head coach. Brett Bielema is at the reins there in Illinois.
Who's also very familiar with the Big Ten football.
Yes, and that's something that I had actually in my notes here. He was Wisconsin. And I think Nebraska might have their hands full in this one based on, all those facts with the trends going up and down, NCAA violations left and right, all that stuff. I'm leaning towards Illinois to cover here. A few more facts, figures, odds, all that stuff to strengthen the Illini case. Nebraska, to start off, 5-11 against the spread when they're favored, with Scott Frost as their head coach. And they're 2-6 against their spread in their last 8 games as a favorite. Nebraska is going to have to rely on their quarterback play, and I feel like Adrian Martinez has been there for like 5 or 6 years. He was this highly touted quarterback prospect. Everyone thought he was going to be, the next best thing in the Big Ten. They thought he was going to be really successful. If Nebraska is going to win and have success this year, Adrian Martinez needs to learn how to put it all together. He has not had the accuracy to be a quarterback. He's had, glimpses here and there of solid play where we know he can run the ball. He has 22 career rushing touchdowns, but on the flip side of him running the ball, he has ball security problems, 32 fumbles in his career, and we know fumbles are a team's worst nightmare. He's not accurate throwing the ball, and he just doesn't seem like he's all there to be a leading quarterback. They have McCaffrey's brother back there, but we saw last year he's not really a passer either. He's more of a running H-back kind of wildcat option. So Nebraska, I don't think they have any answers at quarterback yet. And it's going to be pretty tough for them to be successful in the Big Ten when they don't have a quarterback who's, able to throw the ball and hold on to the ball. Nebraska is returning 10 starters on defense. That sounds like a positive to me, but it's not positive when last year that defense allowed 29.4 points per game, and they allowed 41 points to this Illinois team in last year's meeting. So I don't know if the 10 starters coming back is a positive as much as it is kind of a concern for this game. But speaking of Illinois, we're going to shift over to them. They're returning 18 starters on both sides of the ball, including their senior quarterback, Brandon Peters, who, he started at Michigan. Last year in this game against Nebraska was 18 of 25. Illinois improved on the edge with their rush defense and their linebackers. That's going to keep Martinez contained, force him to throw downfield. That's not his strong suit. Nebraska is also going to have to deal with probably one of the best running backs in the conference, Chase Brown. And he's running behind a veteran offensive line that's probably full of some NFL draft picks in there. So with all that being said, we're going to look at my favorite part, the numbers. Because Scott Frost and Bielema both have Big Ten coaching on their resume, I decided to look at what their opening games are and their opening Big Ten games when they were coaching in the Big Ten. So Frost 1-2 in his season opening games with Nebraska, and then he's 1-2 in Big Ten openers. Bielema, when he was coaching with Wisconsin, was 7-0 in opening games in the season, and he was 3-4 in those Big Ten openers. So I think I'll give the edge to him. He's got a little more experience. He's more of a Big Ten coach, I think. But you could take that with however you want to see it. But I think the main thing that's going to impact this, lack of consistent, solid quarterback play for Martinez in Nebraska, and the looming NCAA violations over the program. The score might stay close. Nebraska may be able to eke out a win at the end, but I think solely based on the quarterback play of Nebraska and that Scott Frost is almost shitting his pants because of NCAA and how he's been performing at Nebraska, I think they keep this close, and Illinois is actually going to cover the +7. They might win, but I'm sticking with Illinois +7.
Okay, yeah, I don't know. I definitely can't put my money on either of those teams right now. Scott Frost, you don't know what to think now, and then with Bielema coming in, I expect them to get off to an okay start, but they don't have too much talent. But
I mean, for the rest of the season, I probably won't be
right
going with either one of these teams. But in this game, I feel like fading Nebraska is going to be a pretty solid stance to go with, especially with how that program's been kind of scrutinized and has things thrown at them.
Yeah,
I just think it's going to take a couple of weeks for them to find their footing.
Illinois does have the most super seniors in the country on the team also, so
yeah,
that could aid.
I mean,
well
18 out of the 22 coming back, so
yeah.
I think we're good there.
Yeah, all right. So I guess I'm going to go to my single pick. And before we get started, I just want to say how hard it was to actually find one that I liked for this week. So I'm going to take it to the Rose Bowl, and we're going to deal with the Hawaii-UCLA game. When researching this game, I wasn't really comfortable with the spread. 17 points to the Warriors. It's a little bit too much for me, even though I expect UCLA to have a pretty good season this year. But I don't really like betting on high caliber offenses the first week of the season because you never know if they're actually going to be clicking the way they do in practice. Sometimes they need that one game to get used to it. So I'm going to go under 68 with this one. What stuck out to me here when researching this game is that 21 out of the 22 starters across both defenses are returning. So I definitely think that there's going to be good chemistry for both teams when it comes to defense. All coaches are back. Now this is the second year for Todd Graham, a head coach in Hawaii, former Pitt coach, former Arizona State coach, did okay there. He's more of a defensive guy in my playbook, so I expect him to just stay consistent with his performance in the past. Hawaii's offense is not impressive. They only average just above 200 yards passing per game and don't do too well on the ground. And then UCLA, on the other hand, they can't decide when they want to be good or when they want to be bad. They gave the Pac-12 champion last year, Oregon, a great game, only losing 38-35. Gave USC a great game, only losing 43-38. But they left a really bad taste in my mouth at the end of the season last year when they played Stanford. They ended up losing to maybe the worst Stanford team I've ever seen in my lifetime last year in double overtime, 48-47. But 6 of their losses last year came down to less than 7 points. So they're a team that's always in the game. I don't like 17 points for this. They did lose their number one offensive weapon to the NFL this year, Demetric Felton.
To the Brownies.
Yeah, he's a good pick,
Yeah.
man. I liked him a lot.
Me too.
I don't know when he's ever going to get on the field for the Browns, but
Slot.
yeah, maybe if he can find a role there. But Dorian Thompson-Robinson, that's his name, right? DTR.
Yeah.
He's an athlete, man. He's dual threat, and I finally do think Chip Kelly's plan of execution for UCLA will be shown this year. He's a great coach, very familiar with the Pac-12. Hasn't been doing too well since he got there. So this is year 4 for him. It's not, I don't think he's necessarily on the hot seat, but if he doesn't win with this quarterback this year, he's probably going to be looking other places. Again, I'm just not a huge fan of the, high totals on week 1 games. 68 seems too high for me. I did see this at 70.5 other places, so it's still bet down, or it's been bet down. So make sure you shop lines. Side note, Hawaii has lost their last, or no, they've not lost. Hawaii's last 5 away games have hit the under. So they're away here. UCLA has also only won a single game out of their last 5 season openers. So those trends are in my favor as, maybe they're not going to get off to a hot start. One last bit from last year for Hawaii. They allowed 28 sacks last year. Not good. I don't see them improving that too much with the guys they have back. And I'm going to stick to my under here. We'll have a lot better idea next week of what we're working with.
Yeah.
Into week 2 and week 3 and so on and so forth. But for week 1,
We're excited. The football's here, so
Yeah.
we had to get at least one game apiece.
now I'll probably impulse bet all the games.
No, it's definitely going to happen. I'm going to...
When it comes to the pod, I only want to give out my best picks or what I feel are my best picks.
Yeah.
The only one I can give in confidence is this under 68.
Yeah, I'm going to bet probably all the games. Well, all the games they let me bet, but I like our picks here. We're going to start off 1-0 each way. All right, we get it. Week 0's your preseason bet, but we're going to knock these out. And then Thursday we start the full slate. And we're going to have many picks for you guys. But I'm feeling confident with these two. Illinois +7, the under, what was it, 65?
68.
68,
Yeah.
under 68. And
Man, this
UCLA
game,
game, so-
could go 42 to 20 something and still hit for us.
yeah, so I think you got 2 solid picks there. You
Yeah.
got 2 that you can work with, but, cozy up, get ready, because Saturday we're kicking off and we're playing college football. Next week we will get you our full episode, probably an hour long. We're each going to have multiple picks, breakdowns, all that stuff.
I usually try to go for 5 or 6 picks, but I'm not going to force anything. It's also still very early in the season. Last year, when we started the pod, had a rough couple first weeks because
it's to be expected.
I was throwing everything out that I thought was okay. So this year we're going to practice discipline. We're going to practice bankroll management.
Big time.
And we're going to cheer for an under on Saturday.
All right, so be on the lookout for about, close to 5 to, anywhere north of 5 probably picks per person. I will have my money line pick every week. We'll give you our locks, the ones that we are most confident about, and then if any parlays come through, we'll try to get you that. So every week it's not just picks. We're going to give you, props or parlays or money lines and locks and all that good stuff. So be on the lookout. Follow us on Twitter.
CF Payoff Pod.
Yes.
Find me at Big Country Bets. Find Dan at The Accountant Bets.
Yes, and then you can listen to us on YouTube, Spotify, iTunes. Basically, anywhere you can find a podcast, we are there.
Yes.
Like us, subscribe us, share us to your friends, and just spread the word. We're gonna make some money this year, and we want to bring you guys along for the ride. So
Yep. Be on the lookout for Wednesday morning or Thursday morning every week going forward.
Right. We're gonna try to get it to you as early as possible, so you can get those bets in and catch the lines when we see them. So, you got anything else to add?
I'm good. Let's just let's have a good week 0 and get it pushed into next week.
Absolutely. Dan, Big Country, we'll see you next week.